Okay, so last section of the semester, 2.3, we're talking about how to divide polynomials. So we're going to use long division as well as synthetic division, and then you'll also be able to apply the remainder and factor theorems, and you'll see how those work. Okay, so let's talk about how to do long division with polynomials. All right, so we're going to use long division to divide this polynomial by this one. All right, so the one that you're putting into the other, so the one you're dividing by is called the divisor. And then the one that goes inside of the house, you know what I mean by house for long division, this one is called the dividend. Okay. All right, so the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind when you're doing long division is that you have to be in order by degree, all right, or power. So I'll put a note here, polynomials must be in, I'll say, power order. So what I mean is here, this has 0 power, this is raised to the 1, this is raised to the 2. You want it to be biggest to smallest. Also, you don't want to skip anything. Like here, x squared, there's no x term. You don't want to skip the x term as well. So let's talk about how we're going to write this. So as you know, with long division, we do the little house notation where the thing we're dividing by goes on the outside. So I'm not going to put x squared plus 2. I'm going to put x squared plus 0x plus 2 because we have to have this placeholder for the x term. All right, so I have squared raised to the first power, x raised to the 0 power here. Okay, so then for the next one, we also want to put this in power order starting with the highest power. So my first term I'm going to write down is 3x to the 4th, and then 2x to the 3rd, plus 4x squared plus x minus 5. And so these are the things that we're dividing, okay? And so the way you divide is just like you would divide regular numbers. So you want to look at this outside term here, x squared, and we want to figure out how many times does x squared go into 3x to the 4th. Or you can ask yourself, what do I need to multiply by x squared so I can get 3x to the 4th? Well, we definitely need to multiply by 3. And then how do I make x squared become x to the 4th? Well, I need to multiply by another x squared. And so you can always check your answer by multiplying these two. And that's exactly what we do for our next step. So first we guess, okay, what do we have to multiply x squared by to get 3x to the 4th? Then you come in and subtract. So what we have to subtract is multiplying 3x squared by this whole polynomial here. All right, so if you multiply 3x squared by x squared, you get 3x to the 4th, which is what we wanted. And then if you multiply 3x squared by 0x, you get 0x to the 3rd, right? We still have to use that placeholder. And then 3x squared times 2, that's 6x squared. And so you should see that these should all line up with the powers because we want to subtract. All right, so that's 0. Remembering this is negative. So 2 minus 0, so that's 2x to the 3rd. And then 4x squared minus 6x squared, that's negative 2x squared. All right, and so then we bring the next term down. So we have to bring down this plus x. And then we start the whole process over again. We start with our x squared and see, what do I need to multiply by x squared to get this 2x to the 3rd? So we put it up here. We definitely need a 2. And we also need to multiply it by another x to get x to the 3rd. Okay, so now we do our multiplication because that's what we're subtracting down here. So 2x times x squared, that's 2x to the 3rd. 2x times 0x, well, that's 0x squared. And then 2x times 2, that's 4x. And so this is what we're subtracting. This should be 0, just like we wanted it to be. All right, so then this is going to come down, negative 2x squared, and then x minus 4x. All right, that's negative 3x. And then we want to bring down our negative 5. Excuse me. All right, then we restart the process. What do we have to multiply x squared by to get negative 2x squared? Well, we just need a negative 2. All right, and so when we subtract, we want to subtract everything. So we want to multiply negative 2 times x squared, negative 2 times 0x, negative 2 times 2, that gives us a negative 4. So we're left with negative 3x minus 1, right? So we got negative 5 minus a negative 4. So negative 5 plus 4, that's minus 1. And so this is our remainder. And it's the remainder because x squared is not going to go into x, right? We can't multiply x squared by anything to get x. Okay? All right, so now how do you write your answer? Well, our answer, so all of this equals, so I'll just write, this is our answer. So this stuff at the top, 3x squared plus 2x minus 2, plus we have to notate our remainder, which is negative 3x minus 1, but that's just a portion of our divisor, x squared plus 2. So we always write that as a fraction. All right, so this is the answer when we use long division. Okay, all right, let's do another one. Use long division to divide these two. All right, so you can also see it this way as a fraction rather than the division symbol. All right, so our x minus 2 goes on the outside. Everything seems to be in order and we aren't missing anything, so we can just write it as is. X squared plus 3x minus 14 goes on the inside. And so we have to ask ourselves, looking at our first term here, what do I have to multiply x by to get 2x squared? Well, 2x. All right, then our subtraction happens, and so that's where we multiply our 2x by x. We also need to multiply our 2x by negative 2, so that's negative 4x. Then we do our subtraction, so that's nothing. And then 3x plus 4x is 7x. Then we bring down our negative 14 and start the process over again. All right, so we have to figure out, what do I have to multiply x by to give me 7x? Well, I just need to multiply by 7. All right, so then I go through with all the multiplication, and that's what I'm subtracting. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. That's 0. Also, negative 14, positive 14, that's also 0. So here, our remainder is 0. So when we write our answer, so this equals 2x plus 7. And that's it. No remainder. This is a plus sign, by the way. So the next way that we're going to learn how to divide is using synthetic division.